So in just a few hours, I've just built an AI system that helps me turn any product into an ad copy, into any style and any design I like without any coding experience. Check this out. So you can see over here, I've created this ad platform in just a couple of hours, and all I gotta do is to key in my product details on this side of the screen, and then the ad copy will be generated over here on the right side. So let me just show you how it works. Right, I'm going to just give it a name. Let's start off with a luggage product that I have in mind. Let's say the name is called Rivera, and let's drop the image over. So let's use this suitcase over here, paste this in. All right, cool. And let's give it some idea, right? So let's say we want the suitcase to be in a leather design, brown base with light brown straps with a logo tag on it with the name Rivera. The background setting is 3 of these suitcases of different sizes together on a grass patch with light brown helicopter behind, bright sunny scenery. And for the visual style, we can give it photorealistic 4K, and let's generate this ad and see what we get. Okay, it's loading now, so let's give it a short while and we shall see our ad in a very quick moment. Alright, and as you can see over here, now that it's done, let's take a look at what we have gotten. It is in brown. It is also in the brown straps that we are looking for. So let's download this and open this up. You can see really cool, right? We do have the helicopter behind as well as the green grass patch over here as well. So that's really cool on what we can actually generate with this specific application that we have created. Let's just try another design, just showcase how effective this could actually be. So let's say now we want a studio shoot of the suitcase in a pastel blue background, right? Vogue-like shot. So let's try this out. Okay. We're going to change the aspect ratio as well. Let's say we want it to be 9:16 vertical. Let's generate the ads and see what happens. Alright, here we have it. Take a look. Now we have the pastel blue background as well. Let's open this up. And then we have the suitcase in this studio-like shoot. So very cool. And so this is really very powerful, right? With the power of AI today, you're able to build systems like this to generate ad copies for your own product, or you could even build it for your clients and sell it for thousands of dollars. And this could save you or your own marketing team hundreds of hours to generate ad copies like this. So today I'm going to show you how you can do it too using no-code tools like n8n and Youware. So let's get right into it. So how do I actually manage to create this ad creator studio in the past couple of hours? There are 2 main parts to this. The first part is to use something like n8n to be like my back-end system. Right, you can see over here, n8n is an AI automation platform that is no code that allows me to build super powerful automation systems using different AI tools and the functions given by it. Right. Secondly, after creating the back-end AI system for me, I actually use a tool called Youware to help me generate the front end so that I can actually have something that looks slick like this that allows me to upload my product and get the ad copy design in the specific style that I want. And Youware is an amazing tool that allows you to prompt out your own web applications, and the benefit of it is actually quite affordable. If you can take a look over here, there's a free version with 5 tasks daily for you to get started, as well as a pro version that's only $20 per month for unlimited tasks. So it's actually super useful for you to try out many different things. As today, if you want to vibe code, there is a lot of trial and error in the process itself, and $20 per month is actually more than enough for you to create unlimited amount of different web apps for yourself and for your own systems. And combining it with n8n, you can actually create very powerful marketing or content automation systems for your own specific use cases. So we're going to go into n8n first and build out the back end, and then later on we're going to come to Youware and I'm going to show you how I actually build out the whole front end from scratch. Okay, so let's go into n8n first. To first understand how this works, right, if you take a look over here, I do have 2 parts to my ad creator studio. You can see the very first part is where I want to add in all the different information like my product name, images, design copies, and so on and so forth. Right, so I want to be able to send all of this information to the back end in n8n over here, and then I want it to be able to generate an image for me afterwards. So you look at n8n over here. Okay, what I actually do is that I actually create a first node, which is a webhook node. Right, this webhook node itself allows me to retrieve all the information from my app application over here, right? So you can take a look over here. Once I have all this sent, it will actually send it over to this specific webhook over here. Okay, you can see all these are the information that we have gotten from the web application. Now I know this is a lot of fuzzy code over here, but don't worry, this is actually just the base code that we have for the image that we have uploaded into our app, and all we got to do later on is just convert this using another node, which is pretty simple. Okay, but over here what I do is actually I set it to post, and then I have the path set to ad creator, and the response I'll use respond to webhook node so that I can send the information back to Youware. Afterwards, what I actually did was to create an edit field node. This is for me to actually set a syntax to the image file that we have gotten earlier. As you can see, there's a lot of code over here right now, so we just want to drag this over. Okay, if you're going to find under body images, I'm going to drag this and paste this in. I'm just going to name it data, and I have a specific field over here called data. And one amazing thing about n8n is that you can just drag and drop the different fields for you to connect them accordingly throughout the whole workflow. This is actually super powerful for non-developers like myself. If you're a creative that wants to create different systems, all you gotta think about is how to drag and drop the different information that you think could be valuable for yourself. Okay, and from here, what I actually do next is, after getting this mapped over, I have another node which is to convert the file. Right, so what I did is to convert a file over here, all this gibberish, into a JPEG file. Right, if you take a look and view this, you can see this is the luggage that I actually uploaded into my app just now. Right, so we want to use this as reference for us to generate our ad copy afterwards. So I use this node called convert to file, which is for base 64. You want to convert base 64 string to file because this is a base 64 data. Okay, and then the option, I'm going to give it a name. And so I'm going to use the name that I've given earlier, which is the product name over here, right? So if I go back down in the schema, I find a name over here. I just have to drag this and paste this in, and I'll put it underscore product. Give it a meme type, which is image/JPEG, so that it's a JPEG file. And that's all I need to do to get this image generated for us to use for reference later on. Okay. Afterwards, I'm going to upload the file to Google Drive. Okay, so all I gotta do is to connect my credentials to Google Drive, right? And so you do have to create a new credential here, and then you have to find your client ID and client secret. You just have to go into Cloud Console, and then you have to find API and services. You want to create a new credential. Over here, you just want to create a new credential over here, and you want to choose OAuth client ID. Okay, and then you give the web application type, and then give it a name. And then for the authorized redirect URL, if you're using the cloud server, you want to add in https n8n.cloud. And then if you're using your own local hosting, you just need to go back to n8n over here and then just copy your redirect URL and paste this into your redirect URL link over here. And then you just click create, and then you will have the keys, and then you want to paste in your client ID and your client secret, and that's all you need to do to set it up. Of course, you also have to enable settings for Google Drive. So you just have to search for Drive, go into Google Drive API, and then you want to enable this as well so that it works perfectly. All right, now that's done, you want to come back here, and then you want to choose the drive that you want to upload this file to. So I'll choose this drive that I have, which is images for ads. You can choose your own specific drive, and I'll upload the image into the Google Drive. Once that is done, this is where the fun part comes in, right? We'll be using an AI agent to write the prompt for us. And I'm going to use the AI agent node over here. I'm going to choose a tool agent. I'm going to open this up. You can see over here, this agent has a few connectors, right? It needs to have a chat model, which is the large language model that we're going to use. And so for today's example, because we're going to showcase the power of OpenAI's new image model 4.0, which is actually fantastic in creating product style like ad copies. So we're going to use GPT for that as well. I'm going to show you how to connect to that in a very quick moment. Okay, but let's go into this agent first to understand what we actually want to give an agent. So to understand how an agent works, an agent is like our own AI assistant, and the more customized and specific we want it to be, the better it is, similar to having an employee to work for you in that specific manner. And so if you take a look over here, this is the ad prompt agent, and the goal for this is to create a prompt for us to generate the ad copy images that we want, right? So you can take a look over here. I'm going to tell it the user message, and this is sort of like an instruction that we will give this specific agent. Okay, and what I give it is the product name, the ad copy request, the image style, as well as the aspect ratio. And all of this actually comes from the ad creator over here when the user uploads all of this information, right? So how do I find that? If you go back to n8n, you can see all I gotta do to add that in is to go into webhook, okay? And I do have all this information over here. So I just have to drag this and paste this in, and I will have the name. Same for the copy, I will paste this in as well, right? You can see over here, this is what I requested the AI to do for us earlier on. I'll paste the style in as well, and I'll paste the aspect ratio in as well. And these are more than enough information for the ad prompt agent to create a prompt for us. Afterwards, I'll give it a system message. And so a system message is like an instruction for this specific agent to work in the manner that we want. So having this input, I want it to be an advanced ad prompt generator for e-commerce. And I want it to produce exactly one concise, richly detailed paragraph, no more than 50 words for image generation. and to include only the specific headline, captions, or supporting text. Never invent extra copy. And this would be super useful for us to generate the ad copy exactly to the way we want it to be. Okay, and so I told it some inputs that we'll have, which would be the inputs that we've given earlier. The last one, product image, will also be given to it because it will have this information later on as well. Okay, and then some output requirements such as less than 50 words, tone and voice, right? Constraints, and some examples as well. So these are some examples of prompts that I would like it to use to generate the images. And of course, you can definitely change this according to your own brand style or your brand tone, depending on what you want. Maybe for your own case, maybe you want it to always include your logo or always include a certain word inside your ad copy. You could change the prompt over here, and then your own system will work in that specific unique manner. And that's the real value of AI systems, right? You want to customize it to your own use cases, and the more specific you can get with what you want out of it, the better the output would be for your own use case. Okay, and so just to showcase this example, I gave it 3 examples over here, and that's good to go. And I'm done. And then from there, I do need to connect it to a model. So what I like to use for my models is OpenRouter. Okay, OpenRouter allows you to connect to many different types of large language models, and this would be actually very useful for me to connect to other models like Mistral or even DeepSeek as well, depending on what I want to do with it. All I gotta do is to go into OpenRouter and just create an account, put in some credits, and then you want to get your OpenRouter key over here. Okay, once that is done, you're going to go back to n8n and you're going to add in a new credential, and you just have to paste in your API key, and you're good to go. Right, you could also substitute this with GPT as well if you're familiar with just using the GPT API. You can just click into this and you can search for GPT, OpenAI, paste this in, and then just connect your OpenAI account as well. We'll go into the OpenAI account in a short while, as we're going to use that for our image generation later on. Okay, so let's close this, go back, let's delete this, and let's connect this back. All right, okay. Next up, what I'm going to do is to download the file first, right? I want to download the file from Google Drive, which is for our image, and then we can create the ad copy. Okay, so I'm going to go into Google Drive, and I'm going to download the file, okay? And I'm going to look for by ID, okay? So to know what file I'm going to download, which is exactly the image that we have, go into the previous drive node over here, and then you're going to find the ID, and you just have to paste this in, right? So that we actually get the specific file that we have uploaded earlier on. So you click view over here. This is the luggage that we want to modify, right? So that's pretty cool. Okay, then once that is done, we're going to use the image model by OpenAI. So how do we do that? Is we're going to go into OpenAI. Okay, you're going to go into platform.openai.com. You want to create a new API key over here, right? Once you've created a new secret key, you want to keep that first, okay? You're going to go into settings over here, okay? Settings. And then you want to verify your account. To use the image model by GPT, you do need some verification. So click into the verify process here. And then you just have to go through the process. It's very quick. And after 15 to 20 minutes of waiting time, you should be able to use the API for image generation. Okay. And then from there, once you get your API key, we're going to come back to n8n. So similarly, if you want to use the OpenAI model for your prompt agent, you can just open this and then connect your credentials over here, paste in your API key, and you are good to go. For the image model, you're going to use something called HTTP request, so you can actually read our product image and edit accordingly as well. So not to worry, if you want to get access to this as well as the full blueprint, I do have it linked in description below, so do download that and you can just copy this note over and just add in your own credentials accordingly. Okay, alright, so how do we get this set up? But what we want to do is to set the method to post, okay? And then we want a URL to be api.openai/v1 images edit. We're going to use the edit function. And over here, I've added in a header of. So similarly, instead of typing the API key below, I want to make it simple. So in header of, I actually need to create a new credential, and I'll name it OpenAI. And then you want to give this authorization, okay? And then you want to type the value as bearer. Right, you want to type the value as bearer, and then you type in your API key over here, and then name this OpenAI, and then you should be good to go. Okay, once you have that, you just want to make sure all of this is set accordingly. So you want to have the name, the input data field name would be data, so that you can input this specific image over to the ad generator. okay, and then the prompt would be from the previous information. You want to get the prompt over here, right? This is the prompt that we want to use to generate our ad. So paste this in, and then the model would be GPT image 1, which would be the 4.0 model, which is actually very powerful in creating realistic ad copies, as you can see earlier. All right, and once that is done, we just have to convert the file again. So once we generate the images, it will also be in this base64 JSON file. So we just want to convert it, right? We want to add in the data over here, data04.b64 JSON. So this can be found by dragging this and pasting this in. Put output field in file, which would be data. And if you view this, now we have our image ad generated. So pretty cool. This is our product image that can be used for our own product shoots or for our different ad copies as well. So it's fantastic, and you can use this and you don't have to hire expensive team of photographers or editors to help you do so. It's actually an amazing hack, and I think it could be very useful for all kinds of marketers or even business owners as well. So very cool. Alright, and once that is done, we just have to upload the file again so that we don't lose it. So similarly, I have a Google Drive note, operation upload. The input data field name would be data. The file name, I just have to find the webhook. I want to give it the name of the product. Okay, paste this in, and then I would just type underscore add. And then I'll add it to another folder so that if I were to ever have issues in this workflow, I can always go back and still get my ad copy. So that would be pretty cool. Okay, and lastly, we will have a response to webhook node. I'm going to open this up, and you can see over here, right, not to worry, this is a JSON output, right? What I want to do is to paste in the Google Drive link of the image that we have generated for the ad copy. You can see here. Okay, and I want to put it as image URL. What I'm actually doing here is that I'm telling it that this image URL field is now the specific image that we have generated. And if I were to copy this, okay, over here, you can see in the preview section, right, and we paste this in, you can see it's the image that we have generated. Perfect. So this is how we can actually preview the image over here in our app, right? And we can download this as well. Okay, so once we have that, we are done with the back end flow. Okay, options, you can keep it accordingly like this as well, and that's it. So super cool. If you ever want to create a system as well for your own campaigns or your own workflows, what you want to do is to actually utilize n8n to build out the backend system for you first. So I would think of the scope that I'm looking for, right? What do I want to do? And for this example, I want to input some information as well as my product image, and I want to save time and then use this AI system to create ad copies for me. And this is actually super useful because previously in my previous business, when I have a product that I was trying to sell, it actually takes up a lot of time to create all this product image and copies. So I think this is super useful to generate many different copies for myself or even for my clients as well. And that's how I actually think of it. And then I actually bring this whole system and I try to generate it accordingly first, right? And once I've generated that, I will then go into the front end and make sure that this whole system works so that we can actually use it over here instead of trying it out here. Okay, so now let's go into the fun part now, to the front end, and see how we actually generated this whole app for ourselves. Okay, so how do we generate this specific page, right? So the cool thing about AI applications like Youware today is that you can just prompt it very quickly, and then it will create a rough front end for you, and then you can edit accordingly over there. Let's say we roughly have an idea of what we want. I'm going to type this in. I'm going to say, can you build an ad copy creator for me? On the left, I want it to have the input section of product details, such as product name, product image, design options, ad copy descriptions, visual style, aspect ratio. And then on the right side, I want it to generate the ad copy and show the image generated as well as the product name, style, and aspect ratio. Okay, and let's try this out and see what happens. So you can see over here, it's pretty slick and very fast. It's going to warm up our workspace and build out the page for us. Okay, alright, now that you see over here, we do have the rough example, right? We can type in our product name here. We can actually upload an image. Let's see this. Let's try this out. Paste this in. Yeah, amazing. And then you can have the ad copy as well, right? So you can see over here, you can say hello, and then you can have visual style, right? Minimalist, right? Aspect ratio, you can change it to 3/4 portrait, generate ad copy. Okay, very cool. Now we have this over here. Right, one feature that I really like about Youware is the selection feature as well. So what I would want to do is to make sure that I get all this information sent over to n8n first, okay? So I'm going to go back to n8n right over here, and I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to delete this specific section and just make sure it's just the webhook. I want to send the information over to the webhook. Right, so I always start off with the test URL first, but you can definitely go into production if you want to run it automatically. For test, you do have to click run every single time to get it working. Okay, so let's copy this test workflow. And to send over all the information is, I would say, can you send all this data to this test, this webhook. Paste in the link of my webhook. I'm going to select the information, product bottle, product image, you can see over here, add copy, as well as the minimalist visual style, right, aspect ratio as well. Okay, how would you copy all of that? I'm going to click into the first one, and I'm going to click Control, select the next one, select this as well, select this as well, select this as well. Okay, so you can see over here I do have all these different inputs over here that's going to be sent over to my webhook. And let's click enter and see what happens. Okay, now that we have it completed, let's take a look over here. Right, we're going to test out if it actually works. So let's just give it some random data as well. Okay, suitcase, I copy description, let's give it a random one, modern, and then let's test this out. Okay, we need to change this first to immediately because we don't have the response to webhook for now. Okay, we're going to listen for test events, generate add copy. And you can see over here, perfect. We just want to get all this information sent over. We do have the product name, the description, visual style, aspect ratio, image data, and so on. And so this is what we actually did earlier when we were talking about backend, on getting all this information sent to the other views as well, right? And then we want to make sure that we actually get the information back from the response to webhook function over here. So I'm going to copy this, okay? And I'm going to go back. I'm going to go into Youware. I'm going to select this picture over here. I'm going to say, can you return the image over here to be from the webhook response? The response will be in this following format. Paste in the response, which is this JSON response over here. And I'm going to say the image generated is the Google Drive image URL. An example would be, let's take this example over here, and yes, and then that's it, right? And then we're going to click enter. Okay, awesome. So now that we have that completed, let's try again this time. Okay, we're gonna send over the information first and see if we can get it in. So let's change this to response to webhook. Go back to Youware, let's give it a random name, Rivera, suitcase, let's just give it minimalist blue background, minimalist, square, generate add copy. Let's test out the workflow and let's try this out, generate add copy. Okay, now it's not generating, so let's see what's going on. So you can see we do need to change the information. So earlier I have gotten all the information from the previous webhook URL, right? So the webhook information sent is different. So we do have to change all of them accordingly over here. So let's paste in the product name here, okay? And then we do need to change for the rest as well. So let's play this one by one. Edit views, we do have to edit this as well. Okay, so we do have to change this information too. Right, you can see over here, we do have to change all of this information. So this would be json.body.image data. Okay, this is the one that we use. Image data is the name, okay? So let's test the step. Now we can use this image data over here. Okay, then we convert to file. We need to test the step here. So you will get the image over here. Perfect. Now you just have to update accordingly. Same thing here once again. The information are exactly the same. You want to paste the name of the new view. So you want to paste this in. Okay, replace the O1. Alright, you have the Rivera.product test step. Alright, image is uploaded. Perfect. Okay, add copy, same thing here. Just update all this information. So we want to update the new product name. over here. Paste this in. Perfect. And same for the add copy request. Paste this in, add description, image style, paste this in, visual style, okay, and then aspect ratio, paste this in as well. Okay, perfect. And then continue, play this. Okay, update this as well. This is good. Test step, file downloaded, perfect. Okay, and then create add images. Same thing here, don't have to do much. You will generate the add images over here. Alright, perfect. Now we have the data completed. Going to the next one, make sure the name is correct. Okay, let's show data. Show data, okay, perfect. It should be correct. Is this correct? Let's see, schema. Alright, it's correct. Okay, test step. Okay, we do have the generated product copy, amazing. Alright, and then we go into Google Drive, make sure to upload this. Remember to update the field name. So one way to understand if it's actually working is if it's red, you do have to update it. And once it's green, you are good to go over here like that. Perfect. Test step. Alright, we have the image updated. And then response to webhook. Test step. And we're good to go. Alright, now that's working, we're going to go back to our Youware page again. And let's test out this workflow once again. Let's test workflow. Let's generate copy. Let's give it a moment and we should be able to see the image generated over here. Okay, you can see the image is generated, but we can't see the image right now. And so just like vibe coding, we do have to tell it some information to help us solve the problem. So you can just select this area. Okay, what I tell it is, can you return the embedded Google Drive image over here and make it visible for preview? The return image is in this format, and I actually copied the image format over here back in n8n, right? And it should work its magic now. So let's give it a moment to update this process. And so one thing to know about vibe coding and creating these applications is that you want to test out the examples first, and each time you have an error, you want to prompt it and solve it individually one by one. And I find it most effective to not solve too many problems at once. You want to target each specific point one by one, alright? Okay, now let's try this again and see if we can get the results this time. Put it in our suitcase. Let's give it a different one. Let's say golden background studio shoot. Okay. Modern vintage. Let's test this workflow. Generate add copy. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you don't really get it all at once. So I'm going to test out a couple more prompts. And then once I get it solved, I'm going to come back to you and update you guys on what we have gotten so far and how we actually solve these things. So once again, this is the thing about vibe coding, right? You do have to try a couple of times before you can actually get the final solution. But you just have to prompt it and slowly debug it together with the AI as well, okay? Okay, so after testing out a couple of things and changing it, such as the timeout time, I want to extend the timeout time so it shows the preview, as well as adding in the dark mode as well. I get something like this at the end of it. And now that's done, we should be able to generate our ad. So this time, let's try it out again. Let's give it a name, Rivera, add in the product image over here. Okay, we're going to have some design options like golden background vintage. This time the visual style, let's set it as minimalist 3D. Aspect ratio Instagram. Let's test this out. Play this and let's see what happens and see what we get. Alright, and let's check this out. Download this, and here we have it, golden background vintage for our specific luggage. So that's very cool. Okay, and once that is done, you can see we have our Ad Creator Studio, and this is just one example of what we can do with this. We can do many other things as well. We could use this interface for perhaps doing research, or you could even use this interface for creating video copies as well, depending on what you want. And all you gotta do is to modify the back end as well. Once you're done with these, you can use this for your own internal use cases, or you could be also building this for your clients. And if you would like, you can also upload it to Youware as well. And Youware have many different examples over here that you can use as templates. And because they're trying to become like the social media of vibe coding, you can actually share your templates, and you can do it to earn credits from your views as well. So you can create amazing templates to share with the community out there as well. You can also use all of their templates to generate designs for yourself. So take a look at this specific example. If you like this one, you can actually use this as an example and template as well. Or you can see this is the healthcare monitoring dashboard. You can use this as an example as well. So it's pretty intense, but yeah, you can definitely use this as an example to create, let's say, a healthcare monitor app for yourself. Or you can use this as an example for, let's say, your statistics apps for marketing campaigns as well, right? So do give it a try, and you can gain access to my n8n blueprint link in description below. If you'd really like to learn more about how I build systems like this and really go more in depth into building content and AI systems that will work for you and your organizations, do join the community link in description below, as well as we go into live builds and more useful AI content systems and solutions that you can use as well. So once again, if you've stayed to here, I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.